It's weird that it didn't go away for the other client.
Yeah, it only went away for me and not you.
That's
and
weird.
It weirdly like kind of stalled on that too.
Are you sending that back, that out, that the game has started to everybody?
Let's double check. So we need the hub. We need to look back in our hub. Hubs, game hub. And when we start the game, all clients game started. So why did not all clients receive the started message? Only one
Nick
did.
said you forgot to use the status changed in the game.
Oh, yes. That's why I'm clicking and it's not doing anything. Dang, Nick. That was a good...
Nick, the first one, needs a prize.
Yes, that was a
sure,
great...
Because you have debugged so many things and also made me laugh so many times. So I will...
That was an excellent... I wasn't in the mindset of Razor at that point, and I would have been fighting that one for a while and then beat myself up over not seeing it. So that was an excellent eye right there. So now we should be able to create multiple oopses, multiple games, and this should actually flow like it's supposed to.
Press the button. Press the button.
Join, start.
Hey!
Boom. They're both gone.
Hippity hop. Woo, woo. Okay, I have to go and get more water. I'll be right back, but you do the next step and then I will catch up. I'll be right back.
Okay. So we should totally tease Alyssa and just say that I finished the entire game when she comes back. I did it all while you're gone. Getting coffee. So we can start the game. The game doesn't do anything. We need to deal some cards when we start the game. So if we go back to the hub again, we're going to say the game has started. We also should deal some players. Let's say we'll deal players. Actually, when I move this down, let's do that as the very last thing, even though no updates actually happen until this does what it's supposed to do. So we need some sort of way to deal the cards. So we have in our state players, and we have the players have, let's see what properties we have off a player. The players have a hand. So what we're going to need here is a for each. For each state dot state. Nope. So I'm doing that backwards. Player, for each player in state dot players, then we will give them 5 cards. .NET complete game. I wish I had like the like Food Network style of like the finished game already done. I could pull out of the oven and then just pretend we did it all in the last 5 minutes. That would be awesome. But I don't. Like I said, I've never done any of this ahead of time, so we could do it live and fail with all of you watching. Because some people go to NASCAR for the race, and some people go to see the wreck. And we're going to wreck some on this show. Let's see. We're going to start the game. We're going to deal the players. So for each player, we need to take the player and their hand and add a card to it. Let's see here. So if we dealt cards in a real hand, Yeah, that's another good point. So the real Dave says we need to pop the cards off the list. So I'm wondering if a list is not the right type of collection. So we should probably talk a little bit about collections in a minute. I will wait for Alyssa to rejoin us here. She's almost back. So we want to add a card from the deck. And if we do it on each player, that's not going to deal like a typical hand is dealt. Hello, welcome back, Alyssa.
I just left my little critter. He was in the kitchen going, "Mom, mom, mom," and I was like, "Ah." Yeah.
So
Tell me what I missed. What is going on?
okay, when we start the game, we're not doing anything but just letting the users know we've started. But what we should be doing here, in my opinion, is dealing hands to the players. So we get 5 cards in a hand sent back to the client. So I've newed up a for each loop, and we're going to loop through all the players and deal them some cards. So the problem here is the way a for each loop works is it's going to give player 1 5 cards and then player 2 5 cards. That's not really how you deal a hand. You don't, when you're dealing a deck of cards to your players, you don't usually go, here's 5 for you. You go 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you.
Right, but if it's all random, does it matter?
I'm gonna say, just for brevity here, that it doesn't matter. I would think if you were wanting this to be a legit game, then you'd probably kind of mimic that behavior. Just because the user doesn't know that's how it was dealt out, like, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of
I think for the sake of today, we have
for the sake of today, we need to move
under 2
along,
hours
right?
to get Crazy 8, so I think it's okay. But yes, you're right. That is not how a hand is dealt. But I think it's okay. I think we're okay.
Dave says use hash set of card, and that would ensure each player gets a unique hand. I don't think we're gonna have the ability to duplicate cards in a hand, because if I go back, to
I'm confused. Why
the real Dave here,
why would
he says
get duplicated?
we need to pop the hand, but you need to pop the cards off the list.
Right.
So this is actually a really good comment here because he uses the word pop. So right now, if you look at our game state, it has a deck of cards, and that deck of cards is a list of cards. I don't think that's the right collection type. I don't think that's what we should be using here. For a deck of cards, I think, and this goes back to the word pop, we should be using a stack. So this should be a stack of cards.
Yeah, that's what David said.
Do you know what a stack is versus a list, Alyssa?
No.
Okay. So a stack is a last in, first out collection. So it is literally like a deck of cards where if I take some cards and I put them in a pile and I say pop, we're going to grab that first card off the top of the collection, and it is now out of the collection, and we have the remaining cards left. So
this one.
in a list, what we would have to do. That is great. So in a list, what we would have to do, if it was a list, we would have to say, go get the first card and then remove that card from the collection, where pop is going to just do that all in one for us. And that also means it's the only way that we can access that information from our stack. So you can't inadvertently do bad things. But let's see here. Do we have, if it's a stack and I'm generating Do I need to change my create deck to a stack as well? And can I shuffle? Or actually, I bet I can do this. New stack of card. And then
It feels so TypeScripty.
can I pass that as the new stack of cards? Yes, I can. Boom.
Are we
That
still in
actually-
Visual Studio?
Yes.
And you're not scared?
It hasn't crashed yet, but we haven't done a lot of Blazor yet.
Okay. Oh, right.
So what we're going to do is this is incredibly lengthy. I don't know if this is something though I'd like to keep all in just the setter here, but it does work. So this is going to say we're going to create
new card utils.createDeck.shuffle.
Yeah. We're going to create the deck, and then we're going to shuffle the deck. I'm trying to get these to line up so we can see them a little better. So we're going to create the deck. We'll shuffle the deck, and then that list will be stuffed into a stack. I could go... I don't think we could shuffle a stack. I don't think that's something that you can do.
I don't understand.
Because of the pop. Because of the nature of the first in, last out, or last in, first out, I don't think you can shuffle it. So this has to start as a list.
Right.
Because we need to shuffle it.
Oh, and then once it becomes a deck, we turn it into a... Can you cast it? What's the
that's what we're doing here. We're saying, give me a new stack.
Oh.
And then we're sending in a parameter of a list to be turned into a stack.
Okay.
So Dave says after this, do a new line, and it should read a little better. It still seems so messy. I don't really particularly care for the way this is looking, but anyway, that's something to fix later. We need to move on. Mm-hmm. So we can get a stack that is our deck.
As the beautiful Brady said, do not inline. What was the word?
Inline refactor. Yeah. So we need to add a card to the player's hand. So what we can do here is say state dot hand or no deck dot pop, and it will give us the top card and stick it in the player's hand.
But you need to do it
like
we'll do that. How many do you start with?
Yeah, 5. So we need to do this 5 times.
I'm so excited. We're going to see cards very soon.
So this would actually be, I think that would be correct because it's 0 based. So from 0 to 4, add a card. That should be 5 times.
Looks good.
Less than 4. If my math is wrong, we'll be off by 1. Yeah, off by 1 errors. So that should deal the cards.
It's dealing the cards, but are they being stored somewhere as like players' hands or something?
So
is that happening?
When I say for each up here, I'm saying give me the state of and the players.
Yeah.
And then we're taking the player, adding 5 cards to their hand. So the state is all up to date, but the client has no clue what we just did.
Okay.
So this is where things are going to get interesting because we have to alert each client individually that they have a new hand of cards.
Could you show the hand of cards like right now just for kicks and giggles, like in the lobby?
I cannot like, because they're somewhere? On the server.
You can't. No, I'm saying instead of just showing it on individual clients, can you show it in a joint place right now just to show that we have actually created these hands?
Yes, we'd have to build like a whole UI for that though.
Oh, okay.
We could, let's see if we can try something really fast here though. That will be at least some kind of visualization. I'm going to close this just to make sure it doesn't blow this whole Visual Studio thing up, I'm going to run in debug mode, and I'm going to try to hit a breakpoint. And that should at least show you that we have 5 unique hands, or however many unique hands. How many do we want to generate here?
2.
Do you want to see two players is good enough?
Yes.
So player 1, join game. Player 2, join game. Then any of them start game, hit a breakpoint. See, it switched to Visual Studio all by itself.
Okay.
So we are now on the game has started line. So if I look at state and dig in, the deck now has 44 cards. Can you see this okay? I can't zoom and do this at the same time.
Oh, so...
Oh, come on. State. When I press the hotkeys, it makes that window go
Wait,
away.
are we off by 1? Because if we start with 52 and the deck only has 44, or did it only go through... It says there's 8
Let's see.
cards.
Player... So player 0 here has 4 cards. Yeah, so we are off by 1. So this does need to be 5. If it was greater, or less than, or equal to, it would have been okay. So there we go. So we caught that. So, but we can see that our players, there's 2 of them, and they have a hand. And this is a nice feature of the 2-string method. I know it's probably hard to see, and I cannot zoom in because the zoom key dismisses that little window. But for those of you watching, and if you can't read this, we overrode the 2-string method of a card. So it literally says like 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 7 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. Wow, they get a lot of diamonds. I hope our shuffle works.
Oh. Well, surely it did, because otherwise everyone would have diamonds, right?
Yeah. So that's a nice way of being able to see. This one's 6 of clubs, ace of hearts, 4 of hearts, and 8 of spades. So it's that 2-string. If we didn't put that 2-string override in there, it would just say whatever the namespace is, card, and we wouldn't know what was in it. So I like overriding that
Nick
method
said you
for
can
debugging.
also do this with display debugger if you wanted to include more stuff.
Oh, nice.
And
Very
Loka
nice.
said you could try and pin the pop-up window.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you could do that. I rarely use that feature, but that is awesome. Thank you for the suggestion. So there we go. We can zoom in now and kind of illustrate what I was saying with... Okay, it's still not happy with me for some reason. It's not clicking where I'm clicking. So if I point there, it's like off by just a little bit. All right, there we go. Nope. It still made it go away.
Well, thank you for trying.
When I hit Alt, it collapses that window for some reason. Okay. So you'll have to trust me. It looked nice on my screen. So we know we have hands.
How are you going to assign hands to unique users?
Oh, look, here it is. It crashed.
Nuh-uh.
It crashed.
Is that really what happened?
Yep.
Did you touch the
See my spinny ball? Oh, stupid little beach ball. It came back. Wow, it recovered. Nice.
It knew you were talking
about it. Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. We have the 5, or the hands. We have the 5 cards in each person's hand. I fixed the little bug. If we just shout game has started to everybody and we pass the hands to everybody, then everybody will have everybody's hands. We don't want to do that. So luckily we created a unique identifier for all of these users. So when you join a game, we're adding a new player, and that player class has a GUID in it. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So when I was debugging, these user IDs were filled in. So we have unique IDs. So what we can do is when a player joins and we add that player to the game, we already have their GUID in state. But what we can do here is we will go with await groups dot add to group async. We need to get that current player. So we're creating it. We need to go fetch it back out. So all we have is the user's name as a string. So we need to go get that out of our collection. State dot, var player equals state dot players let's do first, because it's only going to be one player. We know there's only going to be one of these, because later we'll lock this down. So there's only one. But so for where the first player, why is IntelliSense fighting me on this again? Where the player dot name equals player, because that's actually the name. We may want to refactor that out. And what is it throwing at me for? Why is it not happy? Local parameter player cannot be declared. Scope is defined as a local parameter. Huh. That should be an easy filter. Why is it being a pain? Maybe because add to groups async isn't finished. So we want to create a group. Why the underscores? There's no argument. Oh, I need it has two parameters. I forgot. It wants the connection ID and player. And then let's see if this line lets us have that now. No. So, oh, I'm using player again. Jeez, that's why. This needs to be, let's take player off of this equation. Let's just name it something and say RR name. That's what's confusing me. There we go. I tried to make a variable that conflicted with a variable we already had. Can't have two player variables. So the name comes in, we add the name and create a player. Then we get the player from the group. Actually, this would be better. This is stupid. What am I doing?
What?
I'm terrible at live coding.
What?
We're adding a new player here. Why am I going in and fetching it out of a darn collection when we already have it? Player is new player. We'll add the player. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I just did that. I way over-engineered that one, huh? Yeah, I think this somebody caught it and I wasn't even paying attention. So yeah. So we make a player, we add the player, we group by that player's name. So now there's a group in SignalR with that player's name on it. So when we get down here to starting the game, we can go through each of the players and alert just those players that their cards are in their hand now. So I think we're good on this front. We can come down to our starting game task here. And we're already in a for each. We might as well just go ahead while we're in this for each loop and await clients dot group where the player dot name is the group, and we need to send them some information. So we need a method here. We could call it something to do with getting a new hand dealt. Create, or how about add hand? We'll call it add hand, and we'll pass them the hand. So it'd be player.hand is what we're going to give them. And then now we have to create add hand. So we need to go back to our interface and say that we have a task called add hand. And that is going to take a list of card. And we'll call that hand. And I think we need a using statement for that list. So now if we go back to the hub, suggestion, don't await inside the for each. Grab the task into the list and then await all outside of the for each. I'm curious as to why. I think I get it, but I'm also thinking this kind of, if there were other awaits inside of this loop, then I think that would have more bearing on it. But since everything that's happening here is happening in memory, like we're not await stops execution. Let's go ahead, just for sanity's sake, we'll move it out. Since it's all happening in memory, I don't know if that would become an issue or not, but we'll just do the same thing. We'll for each again. And we still need a for each inside of an await. Make it work. Yeah, can we call these to multiple groups at once? Yeah, let's see if we can tidy that up in a minute. We might be able to do an await all on this. The compiler, I'm not sure how much the compiler will handhold us on this, but it should just work all right for now. So we'll go for each player. We'll go ahead and call to that group that we've already created by when they're connected, and we will issue them a hand. Actually, I think player name, I think I did this wrong up here. So when we add the player, that's all good. But when we create the group, I don't want the name. I want player.id to be their group. Did I do that wrong? Yeah, I did that wrong again. Darn it. Name. So this matters because right now we don't have any way of identifying duplicate names. To string. Boom. We don't have any way of identifying duplicate names in the system. Another thing is we don't have it in here yet, but names are something that are very fluid. So if I changed my name at some point, we don't want to get like somebody else's hand. We don't have a mechanism for changing names yet, but leaving it name is a little bit too generic. I'd rather have something that's very concrete that I know is unique. So we'll go ahead and pass the GUID.
Waiting in the loop, not look. What does that mean?
Don't know.
Okay, moving on.
Let's see. If I have a large player list, it could be thread blocking. A small list would not be noticeable. For a large list, I would collect the task of waiting and then look at the collected tasks. There's a lot to do with
Nick is
wait and async, where you can say, I can never remember the terminology because it's not stuff that you use all the time. It's task await.
Awaiting in the loop, not loop, is what he meant to say. But I still don't know what that means. But maybe you do.
You can await. You can await like multiple tasks, and they'll run concurrently. But I can't remember the syntax off the top of my head, and I don't want to get stuck on an await async scenario. When this will work for the current purposes. So I'm going to change this to id.toString. So the group is unique to that user now. So with that previous methodology, even if we had multiple games, 2 eds in 2 different games would get the same hand. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But now that they're unique IDs, it doesn't matter what their name is.
Okay.
Task wait all. Yeah, I can't remember how to structure that though. It's task dot wait all, and then you have to throw it into it's an array of tasks. I'm trying to remember how to set that up. The easiest one is, there's no efficient way to like copy this, is there?
No, but I can
I think I got it. I think I got
it. Got it? Okay.
Yeah. So Nick says the easiest one is, and I'm in total agreement here. I think this is something that probably should happen, but I'm just trying to get this done.
Yeah, I don't think you should stress about it. I'm excited to actually see hands.
There's still some kind of error happening here.
Where are you seeing this error?
Yeah, it doesn't like the semicolon for some reason. Oh, where did that come from? Oh, I'm missing a parenthesis. Oh, there we go. Select player. Yeah, so that's giving it the list of tasks to do. So we could remove that. Let's try that. Awesome. So we're going to wait all of those tasks. It's going to hand all the hands out in a single or multi-threaded. Push all those down, and then we'll say to everyone that the game has started. So let's do this. Let's go back, and we still don't have a receiving function on the client. So we need to go back to game. I'll move this over here. And we can click start game, and then we do have a game started, but it doesn't do anything with Actually, what we should probably do, we called add hand. Wonder if we could probably group those into one call if we wanted to. But this works. All right. Go back. So we need void add hand, and this is going to receive a list of cards as hand. and the state hand equals hand. There we go. Oh, thanks, Nick. The first one, it looks like he has to go. Appreciate the code snippet, though. That worked out well. I think this will fix our await issues before we even run into them. So we'll add the hands. I'm going to keep state has changed in the game started because it's going to get called. I guess we probably could merge those two into one function. We'll keep it there, though. So we'll give the hands all out, and then we'll queue up the game started, and then that will trigger the state has changed. So we're not going to re-render the screen for nothing when the game hasn't started yet, even though they have their hand and it's sitting there, because it's going to be pretty instantaneous. So we're giving the hand down to the player. We need to have a task that gets called here, though. So the hub connection needs to know about it. We'll say on name of iGame hub dot add hand, and we will handle that through add hand like that. So now we have our callback, I guess, if you want to give it a name. What does this say? What? Add hand.
Is it upset about the parameter?
Oh, I know. Yes, it is. So none of those other things have parameters. We need this to be typed, and it needs to be a list of card is going to come through that connection. Essentially, I don't know what type of serialization it's doing. I believe this is binary transfer, but still at some point it needs to serialize whatever came across the wire. So I believe that's what this is doing. It's serializing the list of cards. So we know, not only that, we need to know what it's passing into this method. So if this is accepting a list of card, it needs to be typed as a list of card. So that matches it up. And we get our function called, and we need to display something. We're not displaying anything yet. So if the game started, then let's do this really simply first. And just say for each state dot, or no, I always do that backwards. For each card in state dot hand, then why is this underscored? Is it a method? I didn't think game start. No, that's not it. That game started is bad. That is not what I wanted. That's why I prefix these. Has no, I don't have a has game started, do I? We have a can we start, have we joined. I thought we had a flag. Oh, it's in the state. My bad. State dot has game started. There we go. That should go away now. For each, well, we're going to do a card, playing card, and the card is the card. And that, these are self-closing, by the way. We don't need to type out the begin and end tags of that. I think we got it. I think that's all the pieces, right?
Really?
Let's try it. Let's try this. I know that was a lot to like keep inside of your head and mine.
You just like this week have just shown me how incredible your dev brain is.
Thank you. I'm pretty average, I think, as far as it goes. But
would not classify, but maybe.
There are folks that I know that always blow my mind every time I see them do something. So I'm trying to get this side by side, and Windows is being Windows. Okay.
Keeps her
So
drum rolling in the chat.
We've got 2 users. I'm scared, Alyssa.
You shouldn't be. Your brain is perfect.
I'm scared. So we've got Windows. No, bad Windows. I need to get like a plugin that does better like snapping. I thought snapping was good. Snapping's good on Windows until you do more than 2 snaps, and then it's ugly. So this is good enough. All right, we've got Ed, we've got Alyssa. Join Alyssa. We'll join Ed. Ed starts the game, and boom, we both get hands.
Oh my gosh.
We both have hands.
Oh my gosh. Let's see him. Let's see the hands. Show the whole hand.
So let's do them side by side. Let's check for like duplicates and weirdness. We both have 6s, but they're different suits. We have an 8 and a 4, a 3 and a 10. It looks legit. It looks legit. We did it.
You did it. I'm so proud of you.
Did it.
Now I have to go do all of this in raw JavaScript just to make sure I can.
We need some of your CSS stylings after all this is over. This I don't want to dictate what you do on your show by any means, but I would highly suggest a UI Wednesday that cleans this mess up.
Which we, by the way, moved to UI Fridays. We haven't kicked off the New Year series yet, but we figured Friday would be a better spot for it. Wednesday was getting a bit too crowded. So
are we going to be competing for time?
Wait, are you on Fridays now too?
I am on my own channel. Bum, bum, bum.
What time?
Dilemma.
Nobody told me this.
From noon to 2.
What time is that for
Blazor. State has changed.
Noon to
that would be 1 to 1. No. It'd be 11 to 1.
Oh, I'm 1 to 3.
Yay!
So you can raid me.
That would be even better. Yes. Yeah. Now I have purpose in my life.
Oh my goodness.
The big sore spot with this for me right now is the fact that the diamonds and the hearts are not red.
Oh.
Like that hurts me so bad. I don't know why, but them being monochrome like this is just painful. We can build it really quick, but I want to do more SignalR things before we get there. But we would essentially, you'd have to inspect the suit and then just flag the color. You could do that with a CSS class if you want, or you could inline style it if you want.
So Chad is asking about the GitHubs, and so here's the link to the GitHubs, and Ed will push up after. So you'll have the latest.
It is not up to date. It is not up to date. So
that's
you don't
up to date with yesterday.
You don't have cards dealing yet. We still have an hour to go. We need to get some more done. So we have cards in our hand. We need to, let's just say, let's be able to discard, or no, let's draw a card. Because we need to draw before we can discard. So, we don't know whose turn it is. Let's not do turns yet. Let's just say anybody's turn. We're going on the honor system, and you're gonna do.
I love the honor system. It reminds me of Tabletop Simulator on Steam, where you can play it scripted, where it's like it makes you play in order, or you can just have the board and you're supposed to play it how you're, like in order, and it's so fun. So
we start, and then if we start, we need to be able to select a card
without flipping it over.
Yes. So we'll probably just remove the flip thing because there's no real reason to hide it in your hand.
Right.
It was fun while it lasted, but you gotta go.
There's so many times with UI things. I'll be like, well, you were fun.
When I start something new, I have got to clean house. So we're gonna ditch our tabs again. This is just me being me here.
Call them Tilly apps.
I collapsed all this too. I'm gonna go into client, components, playing card.
I can't believe we're running Visual Studio. I'm so impressed. It's doing things. It's working.
I'm gonna leave. I know. Don't jinx us. Come on, Alyssa. You knew better than to test the VS gods.
Did it freeze?
No. I should just like,
You should.
I'm going to leave the face down flag in case we ever want to pick that up and use it again. I'm going to leave the on-click event handler because we're going to use it. We're going to repurpose it though, so it's not going to flip that anymore. Face down is just going to remain false for now. We have a card. We want to flip it. So on click, we're going to do something different.
1 hour till prizes. 1 hour till prizes. That is all.
Let's see. So we want to be able to select this item.
What item? The card?
Mm-hmm. So we want to select it so we can... Oh, wait, no, we need to draw first. We need to draw. We can leave this alone for a second. We forgot we're going to do draw. So we need to be able to draw a card. So let's go back to our page and look at the game. And then...
So you have to put like a draw button or something on the client? What do you think? Yeah?
Button, and it's going to be draw.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to draw a card. And then we need to click. So on click, draw card. And then we need a method to actually run. So what we want to do is give it a task.
Are these on top or is the hand on top? Because I think the hand will push it all down right now.
Yes, you're correct. It will push it all the way down. We need to make the cards go like horizontal, but we haven't quite got there yet. But that's a good point. Like for now, until we make the cards prettier, we'll go ahead and put the UI on top.
So just to answer the real Dave's comment, he said you'll need to flag it's your turn. Right now we're going on the honor system, kind of like a tabletop simulator Steam game where it provides the game for you, but if you wanted to cheat, go out of order, things like that, you still could. It's not a scripted version of Crazy Eights what we're building. We're just giving you the cards and then you go and so essentially the way that we're doing it right now, you would probably be in the same room, right? Or have some sort of chat open or something. So you're talking about
this. We had hoped to get a little further, but I think just getting people to the point where they could take off and like make their own thing out of this, I think will be good enough.
Yeah.
So we want to draw a card. We need to know who's wanting to draw a card.
I don't understand.
So if we command the hub to draw a card for us from the shared state, we need to know who's invoking this command. So we'll have, we should have a player here. Is it state.id? So we are a player, so it's just kind of hanging there.
Oh, it is.
So we'll pass our ID back to the server and say this person wants to draw a card. So when we get to the game hub, where is our server, hubs, game hub, then we can create a task here, draw a card, and draw a card will take a GUID, which is the ID of the player. And then we will go and we need to get that state.
It's weird that you have to say GUID ID right there. That's weird.
Player. Because in .NET, GUID is a strong.
GUID is. It's weird that you have to put it right there. Like that you can't just say I'm passing an ID. Like
it needs to know what type. It needs to know what type ID is. So we're telling it the type is this. You do this in TypeScript too. I think it's in reverse though, isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't it? Like
it's just not a requirement. So it's like if you took out GUID, would it break?
It's not a requirement.
Oh,
it is to a requirement in TypeScript. You're doing it wrong.
Wait, is it? Is it a requirement?
If you leave out the type of TypeScript, depending on what the rest of the code looks like, I think it defaults to any.
Right.
And that's
But
just bad.
it still runs. I was asking, would yours
Of
run?
course it still runs. No, it would not run here.
Okay.
What we would do in .NET is, like Brady said, you can use dynamic, and then that's really ugly. Or you could use object, and you'd have to tell it eventually what kind of object it is.
But in no version of a .cs file would just ID being passed in there be okay?
No, it's typed. It has to be typed. In TypeScript, the only way you get away with that is because of the any object, and then JavaScript doesn't. It translates over to JavaScript at some point, and JavaScript doesn't have types, so it doesn't care. As a developer, you should care and not use any. But that's a whole different conversation. Yeah, you can't get away with that in C#. That does not fly here. You can turn on a flag in your TS config, I believe, that prevents that as well, or something at the top of the file maybe, or both. So we can add, or no, not add. We want to get the player, where that player's ID is equal to the one we passed in. And we got to set that to something for our player equals. So we'll get the player out of the state. Then we will tell the player hand add from the state deck pop. So we'll pop the next card off the stack and put it in the player's hand, and then we will. Now here's the tricky part. We don't want to send the whole hand back to the player. We could send the whole hand back and replace it. I don't think we actually need to do all that. We could probably just send the card back and put it in this player's state on their hand. Dave says this is not actually true. While any is available, this is correct that it could be omitted and inferred regardless of implicit any. I don't know. I don't know what's the conclusion is there. I think, Dave, I don't know if you misunderstood, but I think she wanted to do that.
Right. No, he's
he's talking about TypeScript. Okay, yeah. Any is bad. Just leave any alone. Don't use any. How about that?
I'm just saying, there's a lot of JavaScript developers out there who still don't even use TypeScript. And so the concept of typing is foreign. So my question was more to get at the heart of C# and how it works, because that is kind of, to some people, a foreign concept. So, but
Very
yeah,
good.
very cool.
So I'm gonna pull that inline method out of there and say we're gonna take the new card, add it to the player's hand, and then we will call clients.group ID dot. We need a method. We haven't created this method yet, so this is IntelliSense cannot help us here. Add card to hand, and then we'll give it the new card. And that should be okay. Yeah. Clients dot group. Oh, it has to be a string. Forgot about that part. We'll do string on that. So that's one thing that's interesting about .NET, though, is that GUID is a type in .NET. So it is not a string. It is a fully qualified type.
I thought that was so cool. I'm a little jealous of that, actually.
Yeah, it has methods to create them, and there's utilities in it.
No, the first time this week you did that, you're like, new GUID, and I was like, shut up.
Yeah, if we control click on it, you can see it's actually a pretty complex type, actually. So this is
I'm really jealous of this. This is really, really
the source underneath of that GUID. So it has multiple interfaces, so you can compare them together with other GUIDs, which is different than like a string comparison and stuff. So there's other ways to create them and define them.
Do you have a type of any?
There's dynamic in .NET. So dynamic gives you the
I thought
ability
dynamic
to.
was like a special objecty bit that he was trying to tell us about this morning.
Yeah,
What?
dynamic means I don't know the type.
Oh,
And you
really?
can kind of like stash anything in it and it acts like JavaScript while you're there, but it's very expensive to use.
That's not at all what I thought dynamic was. Okay, wow. Gotcha.
Yeah,
But you
it
don't
turns
actually
.NET
have
into JavaScript.
an
So
any.
you can, if you use dynamic, you could say, I'm going to stash a Boolean in it. And then in your next breath, say, I'm going to stash an integer in it.
Yeah.
And dynamic doesn't care. And you can also add like, somewhat like you do in JavaScript, where you can say, there's not a property on this object that exists, but I'm going to add one right now. And just say dynamic dot, name. And it's all of a sudden it's got a name.
What about for numbers? What are common types for numbers?
There are several. So there's integer, there's a couple ints. So there's not just int, there's different versions of int, like lengths of int.
Oh, cool.
There's double, decimal. So you got multiple floating points.
Okay. So you said we're using string on this one? Is the type you just...
Yeah, group has string and only string. So in SignalR, you're required to use a string for the group.
Oh.
But we're using a GUID and turning that GUID into a string. So let's see, hand. We want to add card to hand is what I believe I called it. And we're just giving it a singular card.
That's weird
Instead
that
of
it
passing
only
the
takes
entire hand.
strings. Isn't that weird? Do you not find that weird?
Yeah, I thought there would be some other way to like uniquely identify it, but I guess that was the simplest thing. You can kind of do whatever you want with it at that point. Identify it however you'd like. GUIDs are probably the best choice here because GUIDs are easily parsed into strings back and forth. They're kind of globally understood now. All of your flat file databases like Cosmos DB or Couchbase or all the above, they use GUIDs as primary ID numbers, primary keys.
Cool.
Oops. So we will await sending that card to the player. So the game now has to implement that functionality. So here we'll just duplicate this. It's going to get back a card from the method add card to hand, and then we need to create that here, add card to hand, and then down here we've got add hand, add card to hand, and this is going to take a card, and we will kind of mimic this state behavior. State.hand.add, and then we will put the card in it, and we will call state has changed. As our good friend earlier pointed out, we missed it on another method. And I think that's it. I think we got it. We round tripped this guy. We sent a command to the server did work, it sent us something back. So let's go to a table and a game. We'll put join game. And I think okay, that one's good. Thought I messed it up. 2, join game. Start the game. Both players start the game. I have a 7 if I hit draw.
Is it scroll down? Did it
go on the bottom?
I don't know. How many cards do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No.
Wait.
Something.
Double check that your other guy doesn't have it.
It should not.
That'd be funny. 5?
No.
Okay.
No, it seems like it's waiting for something to happen. That's not happening.
Can you set a breakpoint and make sure that we're actually hitting?
Yeah. So let's double check this. Add to hand. And add card to hand. Where's our click? let's trace this out real fast. So when we click draw card, where does draw card go? Draw card says draw card. The server has draw card, pass an ID. Yeah, let's breakpoint this. We'll run it again. And hopefully, for some reason, this would magically just start working. It can do that anytime. Let's just join game, start game, click draw. Boom. Okay. It's null reference exception. Object not set to its player was null. So it's not finding the player. Why? Because the GUID is 0. Why? So when we sent player join game username, that's wrong. Nope, I'm on the wrong line. State.id, that should have sent the ID. Womp womp. Yes, that is a Rick and Morty calendar, by the way. Thank you for noticing. What? It doesn't seem to like that line for some reason. It is clearly a GUID right there. But on the server, it's coming back null. So why would it be null? What could make that happen?